just to put things into perspective, here's a map showing France and Spain and includes 2 Camino routes. The first from Cluny, which I'll show in a moment, which goes past my hometown of Roanne and Riorges down to Le Puy, and then it begins the GR65 Le Puy Camino down to Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. That would take somebody about 3 weeks, 4 weeks probably, depending on how fast you walked. And then the second Camino starts at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port and goes across France all the way to Santiago de Compostela. And that is very popular. And that's called the Camino Francais because it starts in France. This section of the Camino is on my doorstep. It goes from Cluny down to Le Puy. It's called the GR765 and it passes within about 5 miles of my house. But what I tend to do is I go up north a little bit and join it a place called Sainton-de-Châtel and walk down until I just get fed up and then go back home again. But it's a nice section to walk. Good support system. There are auberges to stay in. There's always little restaurants where you can get a meal and village shops. Now we zoom in closer to my hometown of Riorges, which is the blue spot to the left. That's a small village attached to the larger town of Roanne. And here's the circuit I did yesterday, which was 13 kilometers, which is about 7 miles. So in preparation for the Appalachian Trail hike, I'll be hiking a section from Roanoke up to Harper's Ferry, and then a little bit more, depends, I'll sort that out when I get there. 320 miles minimum. So I'm going out now and starting to do some hiking locally. This was the hike I did yesterday. The idea being that I go out and I stop, sketch and make myself at least one meal. Nice and simple, fun to do. Oh, and I had to stop off at Decathlon, where I'll show you, to get some hiking poles. Let's see if I can get some of this in. So, I'm out of breath. I've only walked half a kilometre. I've come out today to do a circuit walk, which will include some paths like this. These nice little paths which are spotted all around the town. And this one, and it will include some road hiking, side of the road hiking, but we'll see. Anyway, so this is a lake which might be familiar to some of you. It's called the Lac de Combray. No, the Étang de Combray. It's the pond, not the lake, but I call it a lake. And I'm going to stop here for just time myself just for 15 minutes to make a quick watercolour, because this is what I'm going to be doing on the Appalachian Trail. And just, as I often say to people that say they'd like to hike and sketch, you've got to practice stopping and sketching. As strange as that sounds, it's too easy just to say, oh, I'll take a photograph and I'll paint that later. So I'll stop now and I'll take a photograph of this as well, and then I'll take a photograph of the finished sketch, and then maybe later I will turn them into reasonably good little watercolours. Stay tuned. I'm on my way to Decathlon, by the way, to buy some hiking poles. This is the first place where I decided to stop and sketch, as you could see from the video. What's interesting about this composition is that it's very horizontal, and it will be important to show the reflections and the shadows. The plant life needs to be really simplified, and I'll show you how I did that in the sketches now. This is the first sketch that I did, and there's a problem with it. It's rushed. One of the biggest difficulties people face when they want to go out hiking and sketching is taking the time to stop and sketch. But anyway, let's go through what I've done and why I did it. I did a quick pencil sketch. I thought I'd taken a photograph of it, but I couldn't find it. And then I started to add colour. Sky blue at the top, bring it down to some green. That will allow you to paint onto a light background, and it will make the trees and any bankside detail pop out just a little bit more. After I've added a little bit more detail of the path, the verge and the trees, I start to put in shadows and dark areas, certainly under the bridge and on the far bank. I'm not worried about getting details on the trees at the moment. That will come later. In a sketch like this, the bankside vegetation can be really overpowering. There's so much of it. I simplify it. I add some colours into it which I can see, the lemon yellows, the greens, sometimes the violets, and different types of yellow ochre and raw sienna. Just drop colours in. Don't worry too much about planting every weed and twig. You'll be there forever. Also, it's a good idea to give some indication of where a path is. This one leads up to on the right, and also it leads out on the right. Here's the finished sketch again, and what I'll do is I'll make another video in a few days' time, and I'll turn this into a full watercolor. And also the scene here, I quite like this. The path goes up, goes off to the left, and has both vegetation on the right and trees on the left. Now you can imagine a hiking figure leaning forward and going up that incline, and that's the kind of thing I'll be practicing and painting on the Appalachian Trail. Another painting sketch that I did probably about a year ago, same lake, same setup. Here's a couple of sketches I did last summer. This is one of the island, and here's one of the fish trap posts at the end of the island. And to finish, a couple of paintings which I finished off at home to show the end result. The first one shows the island, and the second one the path that leads into the lake.